Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of the Pony Podcast, recorded from the comfort and seclusion of our own homes over one of the programs that I'm sure everyone is very familiar with nowadays, one of the video chatting apps. I hope you guys are all doing okay in isolation. Hope you're not feeling too, isolated. I know we're all doing okay, but I just want to make sure that you guys are. If you ever need anyone to talk to, do feel free to drop us a message or an email or anything. We'll always be at the end of a phone, I guess. This episode we talked to Jennifer Black, who is Jen did her degree and indeed her doctorate in computer science. So you think Alex and I are very overqualified to be doing what we're doing? Well, Jen is another level, because doctorates are really, really hard, let alone doing one in computer science. Jen now owns and runs Mikado Equine, which is both an online shop and a real life in-person shop in Medstead, New Hampshire. And she worked really hard to make sure that everyone has access through her shop to all the brands that you can get on the continent that you couldn't necessarily get over here. So we really hope you enjoy this episode.
So thank you very much for agreeing to come on the podcast.
No worries.
Even if it's been a bit of a drama getting this all set up. It's our first
We're
one.
here, that's the main thing.
If anyone's wondering why the quality is a bit funny, it's because this is our first ever proper online virtual interview. We haven't done one before.
Yeah, and because we live in the country, our internet's terrible.
I think mine's all right. Mine's coping fine. I did, one of the guys I work with, I was trying to explain it to him, and I was like, at the best of times, my internet is run by a hamster on a wheel. And with so many people using it, the hamster now has asthma. So it's not working well. We're not doing okay. All is not well in Happy Valley.
So starting off, but when you started running the shop, how did you get involved in it?
So when I was at uni and I was finishing my PhD in computer science, and when I was researching, there was a lot of research jobs available, but there weren't many roles outside of academia, and basically I didn't want to stay in academia any longer, so I was really struggling to find a job that I wanted to do because I'd spent so long being basically at uni. So I just thought, well, there is a hole in the market for having a tack shop, and I was desperately trying to find stuff for my horse that was usually a European brand, and I couldn't find it anywhere to look at. You could find it online, but you couldn't look at it. So I thought, well, I'll start this little tack shop locally, ordered a few things from a German company, and then it grew and grew, and I felt, it was just, there was more demand for it than I'd first thought. So I carried on just choosing brands and stuff. And then what I found was, basically, to have a tack shop with all the big brands, you have to have an actual physical presence. So hence that's how the shop came about. So McNeil's had closed in the January, and we'd started in the January, and we were just online in a shed. And basically it was a shed. I've got pictures of it. And all the big companies wanted a real shop. So that's when I went down to McNeil's to find out if they had any space that I could rent. And Ian McNeil kindly showed me the shop that everybody knew as McNeil's. And I was terrified because everyone who knows McNeil's is massive. And I was like, oh no, I just need a little bit of space for a showroom. And he said, oh, it's fine, don't worry. I've split the shop into two. So there were two sides. One was the shop as we know it, and then the other side is rented out privately. So I said, right, okay, yeah, let's go for it. And yeah, that's where it all started. So I finished my PhD, finished writing up, and then started being in the shop full time, which was really scary.
Wow.
A computer science degree, and especially having gone on to do a PhD in it, that's like, it's a really big technological degree. Did you find it prepared you well for some aspects of owning the shop, or was it just like, oh, I was really interested in and now I don't use it anymore?
Yeah, I mean, it was the technology I was researching was really, really new, so new that it's only just 8 years later in the real world. So it was all web based. So all the stuff I was doing was about websites and how to sell stuff online, ironically. What I found was I enjoyed it, but I didn't want to carry on. I wanted a real world job. Researching stuff's fun, but it's not real. So until it becomes, in the mainstream, it's quite it's quite difficult to sort of visualize, and I wanted to get out of that and be in the real world, as much as that sounds weird. But it did help me because I'd spent a lot of time working on my own when I was researching, so to be able to start the business, it gave me the drive that I think you need to start a business, because it's hard, it's quite lonely. It gave me the background to know what I needed to do, and what sort of things that I needed to put together to get going, really.
You said you wanted the shop quite small. You've kind of kept it quite small. You haven't really got any bigger in your space, or you've haven't gone into the feed or bedding. What was your decision behind that?
So when I first started, we were just doing shows and had the website, and then when I moved to McNeil's, we did feed for about a year, maybe 18 months, just because that's what McNeil's was known for, and it was getting people in, so we were getting people through the door. But what I found was feed there's very, very little money in it, and there's a lot of work and manhandling of feed. So we were taking about 2 tons of feed a week, for very little return. And I've got a really bad back, as a lot of people know, and I was spending more in physio having my back repaired than I was earning in the feed. So at that point I decided to stop and focus on the things that were really exciting, like all the branded stuff that we do. So I stopped doing the feed, and put a new floor down, because we then didn't have the dust and the dirt and the heavy lifting, and that's when we moved forward. The problem I had with spaces, as anyone that's been in the shop knows, the shop is really, really crammed full, but I don't think if we made it any bigger we would make us any busier, because of where we are. I think the location is we're quite hidden, so a lot of people don't find us. So, but at the moment, because it's just me, it's just the right size. If it was any bigger, then I think we'd have I'd fill it for a start, and we'd have to find lots more people to help run it. So at the moment it works as it is.
How do you decide which brands to get in? Because like you said, you're quite a small space. How do you decide what to put in?
So brand wise, I'm trying to do the stuff that nobody else has. So what I wanted was a shop where you could go in and see stuff that you don't see in every tack shop around. So you can go, there are lots of really good everyday brands, but you find them in lots of places, which is good because it means they're readily available. But I wanted to be different so that people could find things that they were struggling to find either online or in shops locally. So what I try and do is find stuff which isn't available everywhere, but is good value, and is stuff that people want. So hence where all the European brands have come in. What I try and do is have stuff that people have asked for, or that I know there's a need for. So like for example, some of the European brands like Imperial Riding have got really cool stuff. It's brightly coloured and it's affordable, but it's good quality. So I find some of the brands that we get are better quality than we're used to, but they're not as expensive, so that works out really well.
Have you found you've benefited from the craze for matchy matchy?
We did for a while. We did a lot of it, but I think there comes a point when there's only so many coloured saddlecloths people can store, because we used to do a lot of yard visits, and we'd go to visit people and their yards were absolutely chock-a-block full of matching stuff, and I think there comes a point where there's only so many variations of blue, pink, green that you can do without doubling up on what you've got.
Do you ever have stuff that, like, especially because you take requests from people, do you ever have people request stuff that you're like, oh my god, really?
Sometimes, but I do find it quite fun, and it's quite interesting to see what people have. So we used to do a lot of bespoke saddlecloths with matching fly veils and rugs, so that people had their show kit all matching. And some of the ideas that people came up with were quite wild, but it's good because for things like cross country, it's nice to have everything to match. So you can have your boots and everything, where I think Woofwear have started doing, they've got lots of, you can have your whole kit to match. The other thing is we've started to do is the De Niro boots are again another completely crazy design world. So that surprises me every time, how much bling and crystals and things people can put on the boots is just amazing. But the options are endless.
I had a pair of boots made for me, I want to say like 4 years ago, and they did me all through uni, all through last year when I was competing all the time. They were perfect, and they're really plain, but they were made for me and they're lovely. And now I'm not riding so much anymore, and I'm actually doing like exercise. My calves have bulked up and they don't fit me anymore.
Oh no.
Down the drain. The boots that I've worn for I've worn them for like 5 or 6 years, and they are really, really good. Like they look like I bought them yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm not happy.
Yeah.
I'm not happy.
Oh.
How are you finding the change in consumer habits, like people moving from like bricks and mortar shops to online?
I think one of the key things about this is that you've got to keep moving with the times. So when I first started, Facebook was obviously quite big, but as time's gone on, things like Instagram have become massive. And it's just trying to keep up with that, because there's always something new. When I first started, there were very few live videos. People weren't sort of, I think, vlogging or documenting their days as they do now. So it's really important to keep up with that. But where I found I only intended ever to be an online business, but now with the shop it's so busy, I find that the website's now taking a back step, and we're spending a lot more time talking to customers in store, so which is amazing. It's really, really good. But I think to try and meet a wider audience, I need to focus on the website more, which I think, unfortunately, with this horrible virus that's going on, it's going to give me the opportunity to sit down and really have a look at the way the website is and see if we can make any improvements. But it's such a rapidly changing world with new technology. It's amazing to see where you can take a business and reach so many different people.
Yeah, have you found your background in computer science and your degree has helped you develop the website and work on stuff like SEO, which is search engine optimization and things like that, or were you on a different area of computer science?
Yeah, definitely, 100%. So obviously when I first started, I was able to build my website myself without any, I didn't have to have it designed by someone. Yeah, so that really helped, because a good e-commerce website can cost thousands, and that can be a real barrier for people to set up. So I know a lot of people have paid.
I've worked with them before. They're so expensive, and if the company hosting them suddenly decides that they don't like the card you're using to pay for it or whatever, then they pull all your websites immediately.
Yeah.
It's not really fun.
Yeah, it's really it can be a huge barrier to people setting up, and I think that's probably a big reason why people don't get going in the first place, because it's so it can be so expensive, and if it goes wrong, it goes horribly wrong. That really helped me to begin with, but it also helped when we started getting technology for the shop. So our point of sale, I managed to set up myself without having to take any or pay anybody to set it up for me, because I knew vaguely what was going on. I was able to sort of find my way in the dark a bit. It was stuff I'd never done before, but I have found being the only one in the business, I seem to be doing a bit of everything. So I'm marketing and technology and sales and the cleaner, you know, I'm all those things, and it's quite a hard task juggling everything, but it's definitely helped having the technology background, because I think that's probably the most expensive part, apart from buying stock obviously, is the most expensive part of having a business.
It must be so nice to do everything exactly how you want it.
Yeah, it is. It's I'm a bit of my own worst enemy really, because I have all these amazing ideas and then I just end up running the day-to-day shop and not doing all the exciting stuff, but it is nice because I get to make my own decisions, so that's definitely a key bit. And obviously looking at all the new products and things that are coming out is really cool. It's yeah, being horsey really helps because I've got an interest in it.
How do you keep up with the marketing of things, and like anything that has been the same for a while? How do you market it so it stays fresh?
Well, I'm quite and it's probably my weakest point because I get so waylaid with other things, but what I'm always trying to do is keep an eye on the market and see what's going on. So I read quite a lot of articles and follow a few people which are researching new products, and I just try and keep an eye out on what's going on, and that sort of that's what I think is what's keeping our marketing, because we're finding new things and looking at ways of doing stuff, which I think is helping. But it is quite hard to find the motivation to market old stuff. But a lot of the companies are very good to help you promote things. One of our brands, NAF, they've got an amazing marketing department, and they often help us if we need to produce adverts or releases of new products and things. They have very good sponsored riders, like they've just taken on Carl Hester, so they have really good videos that we can use, which obviously we don't have access to those sorts of level riders, but it does make a big difference for promotions that we do.
Like me working in like a sports science field, I feel like I've noticed that consumer habits have become a lot more like evidence-based, and people don't just want something that's like funny coloured, they want something that actually does something. Have you noticed that as well?
Yes, definitely. Yeah. What we're finding is there's a lot more research going into sport in general, and performance and how you can make things better. And for instance, the biggest thing at the moment is bridles. So when I was growing up as a kid, it was just a plain brown bridle, sometimes had a flash, sometimes didn't, and just a plain stainless steel bit. Whereas now we're looking at anatomical ranges, the comfort of the horse. Bitting is obviously a huge topic on its own, but for us at the moment, bridles have become really important. I'm hoping, we've just been cancelled or put off, I'm going on a bridle fitting course, so similar to what you do as a saddle fitter, but for bridles instead, which will help make sure that customers are getting the right fit for the horse, rather than just buying something because it looks like it should do the job. There's a bit more science behind it, so I'm hoping to have the knowledge there to be able to pass that on to consumers so that they can still have the nice things but for the right reasons.
You're also a BETA approved hat fitter and body fitter fitter. How did you go about gaining that qualification?
So I joined BETA mainly to get people to have confidence in us as a shop, that we weren't one of these sort of flash pan sort of things where we were just going to be around for a bit and disappear. I wanted people to have confidence in us that we were a brand that was going to stay around. So I joined BETA for that reason. And then I was having a lot of inquiries from people about having hats fitted, and being a bit of a nerd, I wanted to know the reasons behind stuff. So I went on the course to find out a bit more about the construction of the hats and the body protectors, and it was actually a lot more in depth and a bit more scary than I first realised. It was a 2-day course. The first day was just learning about the construction of things and having talks from surgeons and things. And then the next day there was a real exam. And having not done exams for about 5 years, I had a heart attack. And we had to learn about the construction of the hats, how they fit, and then we had a practical exam to make sure that you were fitting them correctly. So there was a lot more to it than just being shown how to put a hat on someone's head. So it was quite a quite a thing, but it's a City and Guilds qualification that I've got now, so it has been examined properly, so I feel confident that we can offer that service for the customers.
So it's really good that it's so in depth.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot more than I was expecting. We went back through the history of hats and how they've evolved, which is quite scary, really, considering where we are now.
They're surprisingly recent hats, aren't they? They weren't really considered like an important thing until the 60s and 70s.
No, exactly. And interestingly, actually, I've just come back from the Champion Factory Tour in Wales a couple of weeks ago now, and they were one of the first people to create a hat which was of any safety, which is quite exciting, really. They're a family-run business which they've dedicated their whole lives to improving safety standards for us, because when people used to ride years ago, it was just a hat with a bit of elastic round their chin.
The guy who started Champion died a couple of years ago. I remember all the riders posting about it.
Yeah, it's so new. You would expect it to have been around for a long time, but he as I say, it's a family run business, and their daughter is still running it. So she was the one giving us the tour at the factory a couple of weeks ago.
I think that's all of our normal questions, but we've got our 3 that we ask everyone.
Okay.
What is one thing you couldn't live without?
Oh, I think it would be my dog and my horse.
Oh.
So that's 2, sorry.
That's all right.
What are they like? Do we get, I mean, we're on video, so for anyone listening, they're not going to be able to see, but can we see your dog?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah, I'm surprised you haven't been able to hear her. Oh, yeah. As everybody knows her, she is the boss because she's so noisy. She's actually managed to contain herself this evening.
Our next question is, what's one thing you wish you'd learned sooner?
Oh gosh, do you know, I don't know, everything really. It's been a bit of a huge learning curve.
When you start, were you just like, oh, this is going to be fine, I'll just buy some stuff and people will buy it and it'll be fine?
Yeah, I was only really intending to just be when I was looking for a job, I was only meant to be filling in the gap for the money that I couldn't earn. So to the fact that we've now got a shop and a website and the trade stand's a bit scary.
I wonder how many people are going to be doing that now, you know, the freelancers who can't do whatever they do and are going to be sat at home like, oh, how can I earn some money? How can I earn some money? And we're going to end up with so many new businesses that are going to come out of this. Yeah,
I hope so. I hope people, you know, if you've got a passion for something, I think that's one of the main things to keep you going when times are difficult. If you're really passionate about it, then you'll keep going. But it's a very, very difficult time at the moment, even for existing companies to keep going. So I think now is probably a really hard time to get going, but there's so much involved in horses at the moment. There's so many opportunities out there.
Are you finding it hard with the virus? Are you finding it hard to kind of keep stuff going, or are people still buying?
We're really lucky in that people are still buying. We've got some really amazing customers, really really loyal, which is amazing. It's obviously quieter. I think people are having a bit of a worry about jobs and things, and what's, you know, necessities, and I think the everyday items are obviously still being sold, but I think one of the key things about my shop is that people like to come in and have a look around and see what there is, and I don't think you can get that same experience really online. A lot of my European companies won't let you have an account without a shop, and I think that's a really key point to remember, that people still like to feel things, look at stuff and try it on, and that's not always that easy online, because you end up sending stuff back because it doesn't fit or it's not what you wanted. So I think we will struggle a bit because people can't come in and see what we've got, but I can still, you know, keep promoting the things we have, and just keep ticking over whilst people need the essentials, just to keep going over this horrible time.
What's one piece of advice you'd give yourself 5 years ago?
Oh, what would I don't know. Don't do it, probably. Go and get a proper job. No, seriously, what would I do?
You've got a really good degree. It would be a really useful one. You get a great job with that. My mum's always telling me.
Yeah, I know. I think my parents were horrified when they realised I was going to start a tack shop. But the best advice is to do something you enjoy, and if you don't enjoy it, then your working life is a very long time to do something you hate. So I think that's the only advice I could give other people, is do something you enjoy.
I remember when we found out that you'd not intended to go into the tack shop, my mum came home and she's like, I was talking to Jen's mum and she's got a degree too, and she's not doing anything that's related, so it's gonna be okay no matter what you do. You're probably not gonna, you know, use your degree.
Yeah, but Alex, she's got a PhD. She's better than a master's. You've got one more to go.
One day.
But
Okay.
I think that's everything. So thank you so much for talking to us.
Oh, that's no worries. It's been quite a laugh, actually.
If people want to find out more about you, or have a look at your website, where can they find you?
So we're on Facebook, Instagram, and obviously the website at just mercadoequine.co.uk. And I will, over this time, get better at Instagram stories, so you can learn a bit more.
And as soon as we're out of this, we'll be over and we'll be doing you wanted to do a hat fitting video, didn't you?
Yeah,
I think that'd be really cool.
We were going to tie this in with Beta Safety Week, but they've postponed it now until June because of the virus. So we'll pop over and do a video for them.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
As soon as we're allowed out the house without someone beating us over the head, we'll be there.
I know. Well, we all just have to stay safe, I think. Just be sensible.
I mean, always try.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Cool.
Bye.
Oh, where's the hang
hang on, I haven't stopped it yet because I don't know. How do I stop the recording so that it saves?
Just click the button, and then when you hit click hang up and you try and exit, it'll tell you it's going to save onto your computer.
Okay.
Such a professionally run outfit, honestly.
Okay. I'm gonna
Please
do it.
delete all this random talk.
You laughed. Tess has done it before.
Oh, okay, cool. Phew.
This is the funniest bit, when we're being useless. This is the best bit. People like
right.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you want to hear more from us, we now have a website that has all of our episodes on. If you can't be bothered to scroll back through whatever podcast listening platform you're on, if you're already on our website. Oh my god, what do you think? Do you like it? Please let us know. I'm desperate for compliments on it. It took me so long. If you don't follow us already, follow us on Instagram at The Pony Podcast, at the Pony Podcast on Facebook. And again, if you want to drop us a line, whether it's to talk about an episode, to request a specific topic, or even just to say hello and have some human contact, drop us an email at theponypod@gmail.com. All right, hope you guys are all staying safe. Keep washing those hands. All right, bye.